Okay. You're kidding me. Whoops, OBS has crashed. Love it. Okay, second attempt. Give me 1 second. Double check. All right, we are live.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the May 3rd meeting of the Mountain Community Capital Fund. We are live streaming. We had a slight technical delay, so we're getting started a little bit later than normal. Our normal starting time is 9:30, but the meeting is opening here at 9:45. Thanks for your patience related to this. I'd like to kick off the meeting by doing a quick roll call. So I'll call your name. Please state that you're present, how you were appointed, and the role that you serve on the committee, whether voting or not. I'll go down the line. I'm going to start with Carl.
Carl Alguire, Vice Chair, City of Asheville appointee, voting member.
All right, we're going to go to Charlie.
This is Charles Savage. I'm a member of the City of Asheville staff. I'm not a voting member.
Dee Williams.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dee Williams. I was appointed by the Buncombe County Commissioners, and I am a voting member.
E.B.
Good morning, E.B. Otterstaw, Buncombe County staff, non-voting.
Hunter. I see Hunter is present. Hunter, if you're speaking, you're on mute. If you've stepped away, I'll come back and get you in a second. Let's go on to John.
Hey, it's John Appleby, appointed by the City of Asheville. I'm a voting member.
Kelly.
Kelly, Mountain BizWorks, non-voting.
Karen.
Karen Omansky, self-help, non-voting member.
Lydia.
Lydia Turgeon, Carolina Small Business Development Fund, non-voting member.
Matt.
Matt Raker, Mountain BizWorks, non-voting.
Nikki.
Good morning, Nikki Reed. I'm staff with the City of Asheville, and I am a voting member.
Rachel Sawyer.
Good morning, everyone. Rachel Sawyer here, Mountain Community Capital Fund Secretary, County staff.
Kara.
Hi, good morning, Tara Brown, Self-Help Credit Union. I am not a voting member.
Yaslin.
Jocelyn Gonzalez, Mountain BizWorks, non-voting.
Hunter.
Hunter Guzman, County, and I'm a voting member.
All right. And my name's Tim Love. I'm the chair of the Mountain Community Capital Fund, Buncombe County Government. And as we went through that, I believe we have quorum for today's meeting. Rachel Sawyer, do you see otherwise? Thank you. All right, so let's go ahead and get kicked off. Just to kick off the meeting, we have a few edits to the agenda that was published, so just want to go ahead and make those. I'll walk through the edits, and what I'd like to do is have a motion to approve the changes to the agenda, quick vote, and we'll do it all as one edit. So we're going to start at the top. We're going to adjust the date from May 5th to May 3rd. As we proceed through the agenda, item B, we're going to delete public comment because our practice is to hold public comment at the end. So we still will have public comment today, just not at the front of the meeting. And our final edit that I'm aware of is a change to item C2 under materials. We have listed a presentation. We will not be having a presentation today, but we will have a review of the spreadsheet that's linked. So those are the three edits that I saw. Any questions or concerns? If none, I'd request a motion to approve the edits that were proposed.
So moved. This is Nikki.
Second from Hunter.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your hands virtually or otherwise. Thank y'all. Please lower your hands. Any opposed? Excellent. Motion passes we'll make those changes to the agenda and make sure that that's published. All right, back to normal business. Our first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the April 5th meeting. Hopefully everyone had a chance to review those. Request a motion to approve the minutes. I see Hunter raising a thumb. I'll take that as a motion. No? See Carl raising a hand. I'll take that as a motion.
Yes.
Any seconds?
I'll second. This is Nikki.
All right. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All right, please lower your hands. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Minutes are approved. Great. All right, moving through our agenda today. As I said, we're not going to have public comment at the front. We are going to have it at the end. Our next item, which currently is item C, staff updates, is a presentation on extending the length of this meeting. And Charles, I believe, is going to walk us through a presentation to provide some options. No decisions have been made. I want to be very clear, seeking feedback today from the committee on a potential change or no change. So, Charles?
Absolutely. All right, everybody seeing the presentation?
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, well, hello, everyone. I'm Charlie Savage. I'm the Economic Development Specialist for the City of Asheville. I will be presenting this staff update on behalf of Rachel Taylor, who is out this week. So last meeting, staff was asked to look into what other committees within the City of Asheville are typically doing in terms of how long they're meeting. What we found was that most committees meet for at least 2 hours. Additionally, most committees have at least or have about 3 to 4 sort of substantive items on their agenda each meeting. So we've prepared a few alternative meeting schedules for the committee to consider that are in line with these practices with these other committees. So as previously stated, the committees in Asheville usually meet for about 2 hours. They don't exceed typically 3 to 4 items per agenda. Sort of the caveat to this is that some advisory boards will hold annual retreats, work sessions, so that committee members who are interested in getting into more in-depth discussions on topics they're interested can do so at that time. Sort of taking stock where this committee is currently, we meet for an hour each month. The operating committee doesn't have a work plan, and the number of items that are on the agenda each month sort of vary. Staff has made some progress towards creating some of these guardrails to improve the flow of discussion, and that sort of brings us to some of the recommendations in terms of adjusting the schedule. So this staff recommendation is that the committee move to schedule meetings for 2 hours in line with other committees in the city. Sort of as a reminder, this meeting doesn't have to go on for the full 2 hours. If the committee, addresses all of its business, and under that amount of time, it can adjourn early. If we adopted this schedule, then we can look forward to addressing about 3 to 4 items per agenda. Alternatively, we can just extend this meeting out by half an hour, so that's 30 minutes. If we did this, we could look forward to about 2 to 3 substantive items per agenda. And then, of course, we could just keep the current meeting schedule as is. About 1 to 2 substantive items per agenda would fit within that hour. Sort of additional food for thought for you all. We could, if the committee was interested, explore the logistics of having some kind of annual work session on a topic that you all were interested in, just as something for you to think about. And then our next steps for this is if you all wish to adjust to a different meeting schedule, we can basically, if you all express that through a vote, we can sort of make it happen, forward that to the clerk's office and get the appropriate email sent out to notify the public on that change. We would need to know sort of if you want to meet at 9:30, extending out that extra time, or if you want to move it forward as well, like to 9 instead. But yeah, essentially that's all there would be to adjusting the meeting schedule, if that's something you would be interested in.
Excellent. Thank you, Charlie. So would like some discussion on this item. And to Charlie's point, if we want to change the meeting, I would recommend that we vote on it. If we're going to leave it as is, not required to vote, but, might be good just to set the record straight. So any thoughts, comments?
Charlie, can you go to the previous slide, please? And we'll just take a look at those options.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you. I mean, I'm open to ideas. I don't really see a problem if we want to meet earlier at 9 o'clock. And so option 1, I think, is worth consideration, especially as we start to really grow the program and really try to get in and make these meetings have continual impact. So Dee, go ahead. I'll go on mute.
Thank you. And I guess my preference is for a 2-hour meeting to begin at 9 o'clock. And the reason why I say that is when we started out kind of like a body that was not very deliberative, but one that was a rubber stamp process. And since we have seemingly morphed into more of a deliberative body, and it looks like we need to update everything from the operating agreement to just how even we report. That is an issue that I have with the fact that we're about 60 days. It looks like it's almost like watching the Titanic after it sank. So I guess my thing would be to be more proactive. So I would like to be able to examine a number of issues, including the reporting mechanisms that are funneled to us, as well as just trying to see how we can help some of these businesses that seem to have a trend of going south under our watch. So my preference, in short, is for a 2-hour meeting, but a substantive 2-hour meeting, not just one to sit here and talk about things after they've happened, but also to interject how we think we could be more proactive. Thanks.
Hunter?
I'd just like to state that I agree with Dee, and I would suggest that because the conversations we've been having are, in my opinion, very advantageous to all of us and give us a lot of good discussion and good information.
Thank you for that. I hear Hunter, Dee, and Nikki lean in towards option 1. Anyone have any other thoughts? Anyone opposed to option 1?
I'm fine with option 1. I'm fine with all the options, but option 1, if that's the majority, I'm fine. This might be anathema to some people, but is there any possibility of actually meeting in person maybe once a quarter, or is that all off the table now? Because I feel like we gain a lot more if we actually sat around a table. So that's my suggestion.
Excellent question. So we can confirm this, but in general, our committees have to establish a regular meeting schedule, and we chose to be virtual. That said, we have the option to meet in person, and we can validate that, but we do have to kind of set a general parameter of what we're going to do. That way the members of the public have an expectation. So if we wanted to meet in person, I think we could do that. We would just have to notice it accordingly. I'm certainly not opposed to that. There's many of you I've never met in person, which is kind of shocking since we've been doing this since 2018. I'd love to hear more thoughts on that, but John, I'd like to wrap up the specific time slot first, if that's all right. All right, so I've heard some folks leaning in on option 1. John sounded in favor as well. The one thing I would note, we built in kind of a buffer with this meeting so that we can do an AV check, at the beginning of the meeting, and I think we should still continue to do that. Charlie and team. I don't want to extend the meeting further than 2 hours though. So if we could kind of lump that in somehow, I think that would be good. Personal preference. So. Well,
Tim, can you explain what you're proposing?
yeah. So maybe if we started at 9 o'clock, we do our AV at 9 and then kick off the meeting no later than 9:15 as an example, just so everyone has a chance to test the mics, make sure that we're streaming, something like that, but then still end at 11 rather than extending into 11:15 or something like that. So I would be suggesting option 1, but with a built-in buffer that begins at 9, with the meeting starting officially at 9:15. If y'all feel that that's unnecessary, I'm also glad to take that off the table. Hearing none. All right, so then that's a friendly amendment to option 1, 2-hour cap on the meeting. Starts at 9 with an AV check, 9:15 official meeting starts, ending by 11. Since I'm making the friendly amendment, I'll make the motion. My motion is to go with option 1 to meet with 2 hours with the meeting beginning at 9 a.m. To be followed by a short audio visual check so that the meeting officially starts at 9:15 and ends by 11. Are there any seconds?
I'll second that.
Oh, go ahead, Dee.
Or a second, a third, and a fourth. So we're going to jump into our voting process. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. Are there any opposed? Excellent. All right, so the motion passes. Our meeting time will change. Charlie and team, if you could update the notices so that we can reflect the change at our upcoming meeting in June, that would be appreciated. Rachel, I see your hand is up.
I was listening to the suggestion that John made about being in person occasionally and saw some nodding heads. I wonder if rather than trying to build that into a regular meeting schedule, we could do a special meeting, sort of like that annual meeting in person sometime that works for everyone.
I think that's a good suggestion. And Rachel, are you thinking that that meeting would be an additional meeting or in place of an existing?
It's
flexible.
Practical to replace a regular meeting with an annual meeting. Maybe I don't want to call it an annual meeting because I don't know what our bylaws say, but a special meeting. We have the ability to do that.
Yeah, that's great.
And I'll just throw out there this Mountain BizWorks, we'd also be happy to host, a meet and greet here, maybe not a formal meeting, but just to kind of walk through our processes and just do a little bit of, more background there. So if that's of interest, we'd be more than happy to welcome folks for that.
Another great suggestion.
And I'll just share too, it looks like our meeting in July is falling right after the 4th holiday. And so perhaps we should consider, because I know it might, some might take a long weekend and we may have some spotty attendance for that. So maybe we should consider looking to schedule something like an annual meeting for the month of July that would have then enable us to postpone or cancel that meeting and really have an in-person in lieu of. So just for consideration, if that's too early for planning, I can also hear that, but just considering that as a potential.
A lot of great suggestions and seems timely. All right, so I don't think we need to necessarily vote on this item. I think it's a great suggestion, John. Thanks for bringing it. Matt, thanks for offering. I think it'd be a great step to meet with the BizWorks team in person and kind of work through some of these topics at that meeting. So, Charlie, could I ask you to take a look at some options?
Yep. We'll give it a look and look into the logistics of that.
Yep, that's great. And then We can certainly talk about it at our June meeting. If folks are feeling like they need more advance notice, we can also send something through email just to think about and to plan around. So we'll do that just to give folks time. Awesome, y'all. I think we're moving ahead. That's great.
If I could chime in real quick, sorry.
Please.
If it, potentially, could it not necessarily be at 9 o'clock if it's in person?
I think, do you have a particular time of day?
No, I'm just over 2 hours away from you guys.
Yep.
So that's all.
Understood. Understood. And Lydia, if we shot for something closer to 10, would that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be a little easier. I appreciate that.
Cool. Okay.
It should include this food we've been talking about.
It won't be ramp season, John, but maybe the pickled ramps may be ready. So, all right. So Charlie, I think if we shoot for a 10 o'clock or something, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I'll look into the parameters of what we can do, but I'll put stuff together.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Very well. So moving through our agenda, and before I do that, Frank McGowan has joined us. Thank you, Frank.
Yes, sir.
We have a quorum. We voted without you, but you can get back in. Our next update, we're going to hear an update, our regular monthly update from the Mountain BizWorks team. Here we have Kelly Foster listed, but I think Yaslin may be presenting our data today. Everyone should have a copy of the spreadsheet that was sent out or included with the meeting materials. Hopefully I had a chance to review. But Yaslin, I'll turn it to you.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. I will share my screen. It's a little bit better. Can everybody see that?
I'd go a couple more times.
All right. So this report is as of 3/31, 2024. We have not had any, we did not have any new loans in March. So total loan count is still at 66. I do believe we had some loans in March. So next month you'll see those listed on there. The amounts there have been slightly adjusted over the balances paid over the last 30 days. 47 loans active in the portfolio as of 3/31, and move down to delinquent loans. So we've got 5 delinquent loans over 30 days. Also have the breakdown of demographic details here. So 5 of those loans are Black or African American. Balance is 142,921. The delinquent amount as of the outstanding principal balance is 8%. So we're still, one of those trigger points is 20%. So we're still at, we're at 8% there. The breakdown of the delinquency in days is down here. So you can see 2 of those loans are 31 to 60 days past due or delinquent. And then 3 of those are 61 to 90 days delinquent. And I will point you to the public sheet here, and you can see the loans listed here, how many days exactly are delinquent as well. We have not had any charge-offs loans, would not have any charge-offs as of 3/31, and the payoff amounts have stayed essentially the same as of since February as well. And then further breakdown of the demographics for the entire portfolio. And then I will point one, we're still in at 10.6% out of 33 for portion of loans made in the startup phase, since that is another trigger point there. And with that, I will, and Kelly, feel free to chime in if you have any other, anything else to add, but I will move on for questions. Yes, Dee.
Thank you. You have 100% defaulted on Black or African Americans on the first sheet, but then you go back to the demographic of, I guess, the demographic that you use internally, which is 5 of them. 5 of them are African American, and 1 is claimed as other. Is that right?
These are the loans that are past due as of 3/31. These aren't the charged off loans.
Okay, so these are delinquent. I guess what is really, baffles me right now is the fact that we're about 60 days behind in accurate data. As far as we know that we voted to allow these loans to be charged off the last time we met. I guess my question goes to timeliness of information as far as our responsibilities are concerned. Is there a way that we can do this? If you don't, do you keep a book or a real-time analysis or spreadsheet of loans that have actually been charged off? Or is there some way that we could have that information to act as a responsible, deliberative body rather than put it on paper that's about 60 days gone or so? And then we talk about, theoretically, this is what we're talking about, where we actually know that these loans have been charged off since then. So I guess the thing is there a way that we can be brought more up to date as of, May 3rd of what is actually going on and how many are 30 days past, 60 days past, 90 days past, to let it be reflective? I know, is this an internal administrative convenience is what I'm asking, or is it something that can be done so that we can have a more accurate picture?
Hey, Dee,
That's it.
yeah, great question. This is Matt Raker, Mountain BizWorks. I'll jump in here. First off, all of the claims that were submitted to the committee and for the charged off loans and those claims that were decided on are reflected under the charge off section there. So those are separate from, once they're charged off, they're no longer considered delinquent anymore. So those are not in the delinquent loans. So those are correctly stated here as well. And then as to the timing of this, so this report here is as of the end of March 31st. And of course, the next monthly report that we'll do and reconcile in-house will be for the April end, which was 3 days ago. And there's a process for us to be able to reconcile all that data. Right now, BizWorks is the only participating lender, in the program. But if there were others, we got to have time to get the data from any of the other lenders, compile that together, get it over to the city and county kind of committee staff that helps get it together, post it in advance of the meeting. So just due to the timing of it, the March month-end data is the most recent month-end. We haven't even internally compiled the April month-end ones. Haven't completed that process yet. So this is the most current month-end data that's currently available.
Here, I guess what I'm looking at is on the charge-off performance sheet, it shows that there are no charge-offs. And it is correct, as of 3/31, there were no charge-offs. But realistically, we know that we voted to approve the guarantee for loans that were charged off. And I think Mountain BizWorks is the only lender right now of record. Is that correct?
Yes. And so on line 35 there, you'll see there's 7 charge-offs. So those are where the charge-offs are reflected.
Okay. Line 30. I'm on multiple pages here.
Yeah. So just to jump in real quick.
Yeah, I see them. I see them here. I see them here. Yeah, I see them where you have 7.
Correct.
And it says charge off amounts this month. So actually, we're looking at a period that we did not vote to charge them off. So I guess I'm just looking to see how we can be more proactive, specifically data on loans that are delinquent. You don't have any delinquent loans, is what you're saying that we are involved with as of right now. Is that correct?
There are 5. If we go up to the performance delinquency summary, there's 5 current delinquent loans, and 2 of those are in the 31 to 60 day range, and then 3 of those are in the 61 to 90 day, range, as of the March 31st.
Right, but my question is currently there are no delinquent loans beyond 331. Is that right?
This is the most current data we have, because we've not completed the April month-end reconciliation or run the reports on that. To there's always movement on these, and I'm not familiar myself if there's been payments on those, if they've been caught up, and so there's just a lot of the stuff we don't have that data more current than the than this report, which is the March and May 31st end.
But you do keep this data internally, is that right? You do keep it internally, up to date as of last month, is that right?
Internally, certainly, there's the kind of our live portfolio data, but we've not compiled that, or we're the only lender right now, but we've not taken the steps to compile the loans that are enrolled in this for the MCCF reports and put it in the format in those. So we don't have that data available yet, because that takes time to do. The end of April was just 3 days ago, so we've not completed those steps yet.
Let me ask you this: if we change the meeting date for this meeting, would you have enough time to provide data that was more timely? If it were moved from the first of the month to say mid-month or later, is there, with your machinations that you have internally, could you provide us a report that would close out to the previous month? I'm looking for pertinent data here. That's really what I'm looking. And I'm also looking for data from which we can be more proactive and know where we are. So how many days does it take for your internal organization to generate the closeout of the previous month?
I mean, so, BizWorks, I think the operating agreement says quarterly. We're currently reporting on a monthly basis right now. And for the process of where we have to be prepared to collate any other loans that any other lender might make as well, and get those from them as they close it. I mean, I think the middle of the month is probably as quickly as we can turn that around, for the prior month's end. So, you're talking 2 weeks after month end, we can pull together and compile that report and make that available.
Okay, you talked about the operating agreement where we are legitimately only, and you're providing us a courtesy now, if that's true, only operating statements as to the condition of loans on a quarterly basis. Is that correct? That's the operating agreement, the general operating agreement to which you refer now. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the initial
Quarterly.
When we signed up to be in the report, collate all the reports on behalf of any of the participating lenders, and serving in that role, which Mountain BizWorks is currently serving in that role. It was a quarterly thing, and we agreed that now the program's up and running, that I think monthly is needed, for the committee to have, the most current data possible.
Yeah.
So we're committed to doing that on a monthly basis, and happy to do that.
And
thank you.
If I could chime in.
Yeah.
I think these are excellent questions, and a practical suggestion. If we want the most timely data and we can just move a meeting so that we get better data, makes sense to me.
And also, Tim, Mr. Chairman, may I also ask if you can just maybe take a look at maybe getting a committee to look at the operating agreement, so that we do have tacit understanding about the regularity of these reports to make us a more effective body. And I'll cease my comments, and thank you for allowing me to ask those questions. Thank you.
Always. And so the operating agreement, just to clarify for everyone, this is our services and duties agreement. This is the agreement that we've been looking at for the better part of the last year. And what we'll discuss next on that operating agreement is a city-county legal meeting that happens 2 Mondays from now on the 13th. So let the record note that. Matt, what I'd like from y'all at BizWorks is to take a look at the schedule and see roughly when a meeting would need to occur that would allow you to reflect the most timely data from the prior months. I appreciate you saying mid-month, but I want you to have time to look at that with your team. But I think Dee is right. One way or another, we need to understand the status of delinquencies. And to me, it makes more sense for y'all to be providing an update on those that are actually delinquent rather than potentially delinquencies that no longer exist because they're, have been brought up to date or whatever it is. So it feels like a more efficient use of time. So it makes sense to me. If anyone's opposed to that, I'd ask that you speak up now.
I would say we may not get the efficiencies that we think we might. This makes a lot of sense. However, we have to build in a week for the publishing the packet, and then build in a few days for city and county staff that gather the items and collate them and get them ready for the packet. So if we're looking at mid-month, adding a week and a half, we're getting late in the month. We may end up only gaining a week's worth of a week closer to real-time data by changing the meeting.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. And I'd want to hear from Carolina Small Business or others that may want to use the program, how long it would take them to compile and send us data for then us to compile into this overall report. What that timeline looks like.
Go ahead, Carl.
We've also sort of aspired to add additional lenders, and I think realistically, anything short of 10 to 15 days into the next month is unrealistic for most. I mean, any business I've ever been involved with, a reporting agency needs at least 2 weeks.
Yeah, and this is Karen. I would say the same for us. It would be, at least probably 10 business days to get the information, make sure it's correct, and put it in the format to send to Mountain BizWorks. I would also say that, our loans, we don't consider them like the next late. They're not late within a month until they reach 15 days into a month. So if we are reporting, trying to get to Mountain BizWorks at 10 days into the new month, that loan, if it was 30 days late at the end of March, for example, it's still going to be 30 days late at April 10th, what we were reporting on, because we're not considering that late for that April month until it gets to the 15th in the month. We give some leeway to borrowers.
And I would agree with that. From what Karen said, that's how we do it as well. And to compile, it would be at least a 2-week time frame to be able to compile and get it to you. If that helps.
Go ahead, Dee.
Okay, thank you a lot. And it seems like historically, no other lender has made any loans besides Mountain BizWorks. I'm trying to get a little bit away from being so theoretical into practicality. Right now, we don't have any loans booked other than for what Mountain BizWorks has done. So when that happens, I think, and I'm happy to hear how you estimate. Perhaps we can come up with, and keep in mind, I know that y'all have a vacancy at the city for data analytics and all of the performance measurement type stuff that the Stop the Harm audit proposed not only for city but county. But I want to also sit down and talk with staff about helping to put together a template if need be with the lenders so that this information can be entered in a real-time fashion if possible and then transmitted to us. And additionally, and I'm going to close out here, there are no other lenders besides Mountain BizCap at this time. I think the other thing was that we basically just need real-time information. And also, my question goes to the mission of this loan pool. Is it to graduate these lenders to commercial spaces? I think that might be something for the committee to take up because usually most loan pools of this type, if I've ever participated, I want them graduated and out and commercially viable into regular mainstream lending institutions and, CDFIs included. So that's the only, and the other reason is our effectiveness as the board, oversight board, or whatever you want to call us, credit committee, is that we need better information to make informed decisions that are proactive and not reactive, because being reactive does no one any good. So I'm gonna, and I promise I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. I see a couple hands raised. Matt, let's go with you first. You're on mute, Matt.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, first, great discussion, and we'd be happy to create time to expand, unpack, any more of this, and maybe some of the, if we do a meet and greet, these are some of the kinds of process things we can dig into even further. Happy to do that. Just do want to share the team is, for any of our, for all of our clients, but especially those that are facing challenges, situations, bumps in the road. They're very proactive on working on those situations to support those clients. So first, I just want to make sure, the community knows that that's a real commitment, and we work as much as we can to do that. And then I just think through, I think it's good, like what is MCCF's kind of role, here, because there's limitations. The lenders, we're not going to be able to share a lot of kind of specific details about individual loans that may be breach the confidentiality of those those loan clients or whatnot. So I think just thinking through from a in terms of looking at MCCF and how to make sure the MCCF is really opening up those credit opportunities for underserved borrowers and the right types of loans and those sorts of things. And those are all really great discussions and thinking about that. May not be a 1 week change in status, may not necessarily change y'all's trajectory on that. So just some thoughts for discussion.
Appreciate that, Matt. And I think one thing for us to keep in mind, the fund provides opportunity, and that's a great thing. And we've seen some success, and we've also seen some failures there, and that's a part of lending, period. I think the question always kind of continue to think about, Matt, is like, we're providing that opportunity, but are there other things that we can do as a community, not just as a committee, to help that opportunity like last and be successful? So I think that's the spirit of the comments that I frequently hear. So, all right, we started late today, but also have long known that we don't have enough time in this meeting. We've got 2 minutes left. I know some folks have to drop. So Carl, I see you, but before I get to you, I think we need to push item F1 to a future meeting. I don't think we'll have enough time for that since we're already at almost 10:30. So that's my one suggestion. Carl, what's on your mind?
Just to respond to Dee, it is true that we've had a single lender, but we as a committee have voted to expand our lending pool. We have 3 to 4 CDFIs lined up and waiting for us to go. We are currently in a holding pattern around the operating agreement, but they have pursued me consistently to participate. So I hope that we're not creating a circumstance where a new lender could not participate because of an onerous set of reporting mechanisms. That's it.
I hear you on that, Carl. And yes, and part of new lenders is, more capacity, but it's also, skill sets, experience working with different types of populations. And I think we need to encourage that. John?
A great discussion. Can I just circle back to the actual 5 loans that are look like they're going to be delinquent and maybe get a little bit of specifics? So I guess just quickly, because I'm running short of time. Are these?
Hey, John, just real quick. So I know a few folks may need to drop. What I'd like to do, let's extend the meeting by 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Let John and the Mountain BizWorks team get to discuss kind of these delinquencies. If you have to drop at 10:30, understood. We're not going to take any action, so quorum won't be impacted. But I do think this is the meat of the meeting, and we need to spend some time on it. So
the 5 loans that Yasin said, highlighted the delinquent and they're in that red on the second spreadsheet. Are they the same 5 from last month that we reviewed? I'm assuming they are, but can you just confirm that the same 5 that would, look like they were delinquent last month when we reviewed it?
I can answer that one. There was 3 last month, and those 3 last month were 31 to 60, and those are the same 3 that flipped to the 61 to 90. So yes, those 3 are the same.
So we've added 2 from last month is basically what you're telling me.
Correct. Yes, there were 3
Okay.
delinquent last month, and then we had 2 that was added this month.
Okay. And I'm assuming, because we had this conversation last month, Kelly, I'm assuming based on what you know, it's not on the spreadsheet, but I'm assuming the 5 are still basically delinquent today because I'm assuming you're working on trying to get them to pay.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. I'm concerned with the last loan on the spreadsheet because it looks like they got the money and basically stopped paying pretty much straight away. So do you have any color to add to that? It just feels like we gave them money and then within 2 months, they basically stopped paying. I mean, look at data issues, basically Christmas, and they're already, I can't read that on my screen, but it looks like they're already, a couple of months behind. So
Yeah, that happens sometimes, John. And that could be the case. I don't know the specifics of that particular loan. We'd have to kind of go and pull that.
well, it doesn't feel like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like a good business practice to them basically giving the money and then they basically hasn't paid from day one. I mean, day whatever, 60 or whatever it is. So
Totally agree. Yeah.
Last question is, are these all, did the committee vote on any of these loans? I forget the threshold number and I should know that, I'm sorry, but did we as a committee vote on any of these loans or are they all just approved within Manning BizWorks?
We'd have to look at individual amounts.
I think there's a column that reflects that.
There is.
Yep. It looks like none of those came to the committee though.
All right, so they're not a committee approved. So, I mean, it begs the question, is there any commonality with these loans that, Matt, you guys should be looking at and tightening down, or that, we've discussed as a committee of lowering the threshold at some way, shape or form? I know that probably slows down the functioning of a smooth lending operation because you've got a bureaucratic structure to get it through, but
yeah.
What are your thoughts around that, Matt? Maybe, what we can be doing improving on these, because I feel like we're going to be coming to the committee with 5, and I guess we added 2 over a month. So I'm a little bit, worried at this point. We just keep adding loans as we go along here to the delinquency total.
Yeah. I mean, no, great question. I mean, overall, the performance is great, and in the overall fund, and we are, we do look at the ones that have delinquencies, and particularly those that go all the way to charge-offs on, what are the trends, what are the kinds of things that we can be doing, and have had conversations around that. I mean, and we'd love to unpack that further. I think that, and I think there are a couple of trends there, and they're kind of more like around technical assistance type things rather than like financial markers that are easy to tease out and in underwriting. So there some more kind of global things, and then there's some in there that are totally just like one-off, like a person had a unexpected health event that came up, and someone else had another family thing that derailed their unexpected. So there's some other things that are just outside of people's control and outside of our control that are a little bit harder to design programs around, if that makes sense.
Can you I mean, I would say I'm a novice on this subject, but I'm not as well versed as you, obviously. Can you just talk about the loan pool in general and how it's performing? And because if we've had those other delinquencies and then we got, at these 5, so that's obviously taking a hit to the actual loan pool as a general. So is it performing as a loan pool, or are we underperforming as a loan pool? Like, are you actually, increasing the value of the pool, or is it like a problem business wise at this point for you?
So we've got 47 active loans right now. 5 of the, and so all of these, 100% of these, are loans that where those borrowers would not have been able to access credit if not for the NCCF guarantee. So they were deemed outside the credit, quote unquote, risk box, of CDFIs, which are patient lenders, mission lenders, that are broader than the commercial credit box, So we're really looking at reaching some of these kind of structurally disadvantaged and long-term, really underserved, individuals. So I think the performance is exceptional, frankly. And a lot of these are very heroic small businesses that are breaking through all kinds of things to make their businesses work, and we're trying to resource them as best we can. So overall, we kind of look at that and like, wow, there's 42 businesses that are performing there out of the and there's 5 that we're working on those as best as we can. But we're also just as focused on those 42 being able to be really sustainable, successful, create really good jobs, and not just focusing on the ones that maybe the ones that just don't work out, because sometimes there are those that just don't work out.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
Yep.
Appreciate the line of questions, John. Really the meat of this, and looking forward to a longer meeting so we can really continue that. Something I would add to Matt's point, the fund exists, but for the fund, like, these loans would not exist. And that's a really important point for us to keep in mind. I'd also keep in mind that, aside from the count of loans, the 42 that are on schedule currently, the dollar value of those loans is also higher. And so the dollars that are sort of delinquent are about $140,000 out of what's currently on the street, which I think is about somewhere in the $1.7 million range, if I'm looking at the spreadsheet. So that's another variable to consider. Not that individual businesses aren't important, but also the stewardship of the dollars themselves. So, all right, y'all. Really good discussion. I apologize that we started late, and I appreciate your willingness to stay on just a little bit longer. I would like to bring this meeting to a close, but before I do that, I wanted to check with Charlie to see if we've got any members of the public with us.
There is no one for public comment.
Got it. All right. Thank you, Charlie. So we're going to adjust the meeting time to 2 hours for the next meeting, which will give us more time to talk, a little bit more space. Charlie, I'd ask that we keep the agenda kind of lean for the next meeting so that we can catch up on the demographic discussion that we've had kind of on the agenda for the past couple months, but also give ourselves enough time to talk through the details of the loan report and potential delinquencies, things like that. So
noted.
Thank you. The final thing that I would like to share with the group, just kind of before we close, and Miss D, I'd welcome you to join me in the discussion. Many of you are likely aware that there's a Community Reparations Commission that's been meeting for the better part of 2 years. And Dee Williams serves on multiple impact focus areas. I know Rachel Taylor, Nikki Reed, others play a role in this as well. But I wonder, Dee, if you want to share just generally kind of what's going on with the Reparations Commission in terms of, there's recommendations that have been developed. Those are coming forward at meetings in the near future. Anything you want to share? You're on mute, Dee.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Basically, the IFAs, the focus groups, they're in the social determinants of health, economic development, health and wellness, education, housing, and criminal justice are providing their recommendations to the entire Reparations Commission with input by city staff and so forth. Legal primarily are giving feedback. There are a number of very pertinent discussions around looking at the data, and we did get a lot of data back about how effective the programs that are existing right now have been as far as the data has evidence. And it looks like there are some nuanced ways that may be added to increase the success not only in economic development, but also in housing and across all sectors. There's a meeting, a virtual meeting of the Reparations Commission on Monday evening at 6 o'clock, and that link can be found on the city's website so that if you want to view in, you could do so. I'm a member of 3 of those focus groups, and I was appointed by Buncombe County. This whole process is set to sunset all the recommendations as of June 30th, and that's just in a couple of months. As you would imagine, there's a lot of work to do, and I just wish everyone so well as we go forward and that we produce things that are tangible. But thank you, Tim, for giving me that opportunity to speak.
Absolutely. Thank you for all the work you do. And Tara, I apologize. You're here with us as well. And Tara is one of our facilitators and plays a massive role in this. Tara, anything you would add?
No, Dee pretty much covered it. I appreciate that, Dee. Thank you so much. I posted the link that Dee was talking about in the chat, and we do have voting on Monday on things related to economic development, an economic development center, commercial corridors for Black businesses. So please feel free to take a look at those documents, and it will be streamed as all the meetings are. So appreciate you, Dee. Thank you, Tim.
All right. Thank you all. Everyone, I appreciate your time, your commitment, and the willingness to extend a little bit longer. I hope you have an excellent weekend. Stay dry.